Hi, gang, it's Adam.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we celebrate our 2-year anniversary and share our spoiler-free review of Disney's live-action remake of Mulan. As always, we cover the latest Disney news and close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick, you are not the father, Kazuki.
I'm not.
Are you?
I might be.
Have you ever fooled around with a lady?
I can neither confirm nor deny that. Adam, matchmaker Hummel.
I really want to know.
Well, good for you. I'm a lady, Adam. I don't discuss such sultry matters on Gays Do the D podcast.
Okay, fine. I want to know. Tell me after we record.
Dated is a loose term. Like, do you date someone in 6th grade? Not really, but you hold hands.
Okay. Ooh, salacious.
All the tea is spilt now.
Well, now we know, but we'll go into great detail in Patreon.
Fantastic. I can't wait.
How are you doing, Patrick?
I am almost delightful, Adam. That's where my level is today. Last week was a bad week for me. This week I'm climbing out of the depths of despair to bring the world mediocre joy
With our podcast?
with our podcast.
Well, medium delightful. What was it? Medium delightful?
Sure, I can't remember things that are 5 seconds ago, Adam. What is time?
It looks great on you.
Thank you so much. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
I enjoy your Haunted Mansion background.
Isn't it nice?
It is nice. It goes well with our friend Paul just sent us a text with a photo of a Haunted Mansion doormat, and it's a must-have for me.
It's what made me think of it, that I should have the Haunted Mansion wallpaper for a background. And you need that doormat.
I do need it in front of every door, in front of the bathroom, in front of the front door, in front of the boudoir.
Every single door.
Every room in my house is haunted, in fact.
It's the season for haunting.
Almost. We're still in September, Adam.
No. Every major holiday, which there are 2, it's Halloween and Christmas, deserve a 2-month run up until the actual holiday date.
Got it. Fantastic. You need to get that, like, the Scooby-Doo start the run, and then you launch into it. I like it.
That's right, yeah.
Speaking of holidays, for us in the United States, it is Labor Day weekend. Adam, are you doing anything special? Are you moving from one end of the couch to the other end of the couch?
Patrick, if you know me, you know I love a big party, so I am going to an indoor party. It's actually a white party / foam party / rave, and I am going to party down, like the kids say these days. I'm going to party down with a bunch of gays, and we're just going to share our droplets with each other.
Oh, wow. You really do it up for Labor Day work.
No, of course I'm staying in. I'm being very sensible. I'm not really doing anything. Matthew's out of town, so if anybody wants to do anything, you know where to find me.
That sounds like a very strange invitation, and I'm sure upwards of 3 people will accept.
What are you doing for the holiday?
I'm probably going to enjoy 3 bottles of wine instead of 1 bottle of wine.
Celebrate.
It is a national holiday in which not very many people care about.
Well, for those that do care, and those that do choose to celebrate and have plans, please do it safely, yes?
Yes, happy Labor Day to those who live in the United States, and please be safe.
Well, there's something else we can celebrate, Patrick.
What's that?
Our 2-year anniversary.
Oh my gosh, we made it 2 years.
That's right. GDTD has been around for 2 whole years.
We're in the terrible 2s now. I don't know what our excuse was before, but we are officially terrible.
It's nice to have an official excuse.
Exactly.
Our teeth are coming in. Does that happen around 2 years old?
I don't know anything about babies, Adam. Come on.
Either do I. We're out of diapers, are we? I don't know.
I'm still teething, though, so who knows?
But it feels great to be 2, doesn't it?
It feels wonderful. It feels like we're coming up in the world. Happy 2-year anniversary, Adam.
Happy 2-year anniversary to you. Happy 2-year anniversary to all of our Tweedles. those that have been with us since the very beginning and those who have come aboard recently.
Welcome, one and all.
I like that welcome, Patrick, because it's a nice segue, a very clean segue into welcoming our new Tweedle, Andy. That's ANDI. You can find Andy on Instagram at andy.lovesdisney.
Andy, thank you so much for joining our family.
Thank you so much, Andy. We truly appreciate it, as we appreciate all of our Tweedles.
Every last one of them, Adam. Well, let's keep the celebrations rolling, Adam. We have some This Week in Disney History celebrations to talk about. Are you ready?
I am absolutely ready. Let's go.
Fantastic. We'll start with the youngest, as per usual. 29 years ago, Adam, on September 7th, 1991, an hour-long two-part TV special aired called Darkly Dawns the Duck, which would serve as the pilot for the new Disney cartoon series Darkwing Duck. Let's get dangerous.
Let's do just that. What was it called?
The episode was called Darkly Dawns the Duck.
Oh, I see. I see.
A fun fact, Adam, did you know this, that Darkwing Duck is actually a bit of a parody of another hero's story? Do you know that hero?
I'm going to say Batman.
You are close. It was the Shadow.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so Darkwing Duck's actual name is Drake Mallard, and the Shadow's name is Kent Allard. Isn't that delightful?
I love a pun. I love it.
So happy anniversary to Darkwing Duck, which lasted, I believe, 2 or 3 seasons.
All of which can be found on Disney Plus, yes?
They sure can. It's a fantastic cartoon. Did you watch that when you were young, or have you revisited it?
Matthew was very into Darkwing Duck, and he has kind of introduced me to episodes of it, but I did not watch it when I was younger.
Might I suggest you start watching it over the Labor Day weekend?
We'll see.
I like your commitment. It is below average as per usual. Let's move on. 36 years ago, Adam, on September 7th again, 1984, though, the Morocco Pavilion opens in Epcot, making it the first pavilion to be added to the World Showcase since its opening.
Fantastic. We are fans of the Morocco Pavilion here at GDTD.
We sure are. One of our very favorite pavilions. You can hear all about it a number of episodes ago. I can't be bothered to look up the exact episode number, Adam. We have things to do, but we did do a walk in the park of the World Showcase in Epcot in which we discussed Morocco.
So beautiful.
So beautiful, mainly because that part of the world is just very, very beautiful and full of mystery and romance, you might say, in its architecture and design. But also, as we discussed, it is, I think, the only still pavilion that was designed and sponsored by the country in which the pavilion represents.
You know, Patrick, I'm going to go so far as to call it exotic.
It is. It is very exotic. It's beautiful. I absolutely love Morocco. It smells so delicious. All of the scents and the colors. It's just a wonderful place.
Jasmine,
who is not quite accurately placed in Morocco, but she does exist there in Walt Disney World.
She's just dropping by for some meet and greets.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Let's move on, Adam. 38 years ago, we have a birthday to celebrate, turning 38. Born on September 10th, 1982, Brett Iwan was born.
Brett Iwan was born. The voice. Well, one of the voices of Mickey Mouse.
That's right. He is currently the official voice of Mickey Mouse, for those who did not know. Brett was originally called in to be Wayne Allwin's understudy for the voice of Mickey Mouse. However, before they ever got a chance to meet, Wayne unfortunately passed away from heart failure in 2009. But Russi Taylor, Wayne's wife, who was also the voice of Minnie Mouse at the time, got to sit in on Brett's audition for Mickey Mouse, and she approved of Brett stepping in as the 4th official person to be the voice of one Mickey Mouse.
That's like being knighted by the damn queen.
I mean, absolutely. That is an exact example and parallel.
Yeah, if anyone knew what Mickey should sound like, it would be the wife of Mickey Mouse.
Can you imagine sitting across from Russi Taylor and knowing that her husband had just passed away, who was her partner and her Mickey Minnie partner, and then stepping in as that character? That must have been very surreal for Brett.
I can imagine it, and I'm going to tell you exactly how it felt.
Oh, fantastic.
Uncomfortable and awe-inspiring.
Oh, there you go. I believe that is what he wrote down on his Instagram the first day he stepped in as the voice of Mickey Mouse. So accurate, Adam, as per usual.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for rewriting history for us all. So that is it for today's segment of This Week in Disney History.
I liked it. It was a grab bag of historical moments in Disney history.
I like to mix it up a little bit. Not all movie anniversaries. We're getting bored of the movie anniversaries, Adam. They happen every year.
Don't they, though?
They do indeed.
I mean, these will happen every year, too, but, you know.
But hopefully there's more to choose from now that we're not just doing movies.
2 years from now, you'll be like, and on September 7th, 1822, the great-great-grandfather of Brett was born, and he...
Exactly.
I'm not even going to finish that.
Great. As with most sentences, I wish you would not finish that one.
That one came to a full stop. But we're not going to stop, Patrick. And you know what? We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to blow past this audio recording BS. And we're going to be appearing along with some other delightful individuals this Wednesday, September 9th on the YouTube.
That's right. YouTube Live, in fact, Adam.
It depends on how much caffeine I have. But yes, I will be somewhat alive on YouTube.
Well, the cameras will be live. You may or may not be. It might be a Weekend at Bernie's situation for you.
And why are we appearing on YouTube Live?
Well, as we talked about last week on the episode, Delico Arts, a local theater company here in Minnesota, which is run by Ben and Amanda, who have appeared many times on Gaze Do the D, are doing a virtual theater season this year. Of course, all stages are dark right now, and so they have been innovative enough to create some programming called Delico Arts Home Invasion, in which you can subscribe to a digital theatrical experience. They're bringing you every month brand new original projects, and one of those projects is called Passion Project. Now, as I talked about before, I am an ensemble member with Delico Arts, and so all of the ensemble members have been tasked to take an evening and discuss live on YouTube one of their passions outside of theater. And I have, of course, chosen to talk about my love affair with Disney.
Sordid love affair.
It's very sordid. It's very sordid. So Amanda and I will be hosting an evening in which we discuss various Disney topics like Run Disney, Disney Theatrical, Disney in the News with some of my friends, including one, Adam Hummel.
I'll be there. I can't wait.
You will be there, and some other very lovely Disney guests that have graciously accepted. And as a bonus to our Tweedledees who are part of our Patreon family, they will be able to listen in as we are going to grab the audio from that live YouTube session and throw it up on the Patreon page.
We're good at that, just throwing up.
We are very good at throwing up. So you have two opportunities to listen or watch this experience. You can either head on over to delicoarts.com and become a member to their theater subscription, which is only $5 a month, I must add. Not too expensive for a lot of entertainment coming your way. Or you can become a Patreon member by going to gazedothed.com, clicking the donate button, and becoming a new member of our Patreon family.
I think it's going to be a good time. I'm a little concerned I'm going to make an ass of myself.
I'm concerned that you're not going to make an ass of yourself. If you don't, it's not a true evening with Adam Hummel.
So you're saying cocktails beforehand?
Cocktails before, during, and after. So join us, won't you, for a glass of wine, a glass of whiskey, maybe both, and an evening with a Disney passion project. So speaking of making an ass of yourself, Adam, you and I frequently make arses of ourselves here on Gaze Do the D. Sometimes it makes it into the final cut, and sometimes it does not. Is that correct?
That's correct. I would say, 75% of the time it makes it into the final cut. But then there are those times where we just keep laughing and can't stop.
Or just can't spit a word out of our mouths.
That happens too.
That happens. It's happened 76 times already in this episode for me. So you have been so kind or so mean, I can't really decide, to splice these blunders, these bloopers together, Adam, over the past 2 years of Gaze Do the D recording and bundled them up into a year 2 blooper reel.
That's right. For those that have been with us for more than a year, you'll know that on our first anniversary, at the very end of the episode, we dropped a collection of bloopers from year 1. And we're doing the same thing in this year's anniversary episode, encompassing year 2 bloopers.
Year 2 bloopers, of which there were many. It was fun to listen to. You sent me a sample of it the other day, and you can absolutely, or I can absolutely tell when we are in the same room together and when we are not in the same room together. But one thing prevails, we are always foolish idiots.
Dummies, yeah.
Full-on dummies who have no idea what they're doing. But here we are, year 2, jokes on all of you. You stuck with us. Who knows why?
So if you want to hear our year 2 bloopers, hang out until the very end of the episode. The very, very, very end of the episode. It'll be the last thing you hear. A collection of boo-boos and mistakes and uh-ohs from me and PK.
A little Easter egg that we showed you where it is, so it's not really that hard to find.
It's our hidden Mickey just right out there for everybody to see.
I expose my hidden Mickey all the time, Adam, but no one's around to see it because we're in quarantine.
I see it. I see it on Zoom every time we record one of these episodes.
Well, that is my gift to you.
We don't even need to be Zooming, yet here I am staring at your hidden Mickey.
Yeah, usually people show their face on Zoom because they want to know when they're going to talk next, but nope, it's just a full frontal.
Not unlike my experience on many dating apps back when I was single.
Oh, swipe right on that hidden Mickey, am I right?
Swipe right on that hidden Mickey, and let's swipe right into the news.
Oh, the transitions are just, they're glorious. Let's swipe right, everybody. 1, 2, 3. News
swipe.
swoosh.
Oh, okay.
Disney World has just announced that they are once again delaying the reopening of their Polynesian Village Resort. Originally slated to open in August 2020, they adjusted the reopening to August 4th earlier this year. But this past week, the date was officially pushed out to summer of 2021. Can you even imagine 2021, Adam?
I have no concept of what present, past, future, any of it means anymore, Patrick.
My only references for those are A Christmas Carol, and Christmas is around the corner, so maybe it evens out for us.
Skipping Halloween, okay, going straight to Christmas.
Things are too scary. I can't deal with Halloween right now. So travel agents for Disney were recently sent the following statement. As we continue to reopen additional Disney resort hotels to guests, we are modifying the reopening date for Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, which will reopen next summer. This schedule adjustment also allows us to complete some refurbishment work at the resort hotel, including enhancements to the guest ceremonial house and guest rooms. We expect work to begin in early October and look forward to sharing more about these changes in the future. The villas and bungalows at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort will remain open during this refurbishment. So we also now know that part of this refurbishment will include adding some Moana theming into the resort. Earlier this year, the Ohana restaurant installed new carpeting, which featured characters from Moana, and a spokesperson for the resort also indicated that changes to guest rooms would include a move to a Pacific Ocean-inspired color palette, as well as details, patterns, and textures inspired by the movie. No word yet on whether or not the resort will blend both Moana and Lilo and Stitch, or if Moana will take over as the head Stitch in charge. We will have to wait until 2021 to see just how far she'll go.
You ended that so well.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Stop it, Patrick.
I can't. The Moana puns are aplenty.
How do you feel about these proposed changes?
I mean, it just makes sense, right, to add Moana to this. And Moana speaks to more of a Polynesian vibe, if that makes sense.
That does make sense, yes.
Of course, Lilo and Stitch is set in Hawaii, which is Polynesian. So I guess they both lend themselves very well to a Polynesian vibe. But why not add them both to the same place?
I know there are some Polynesian purists out there who might be upset at changes at the Polynesian. But yeah, I mean, Disney had a mega hit on its hands with Moana, so it just seems natural.
Well, and it's an enormous resort, so there's room for everyone, don't you think?
I do think.
Do you think they'll pit Moana and Lilo against each other?
That's actually part of a show that they're creating at Ohana now. There's a cage fight between Moana and Lilo.
Fantastic. My money's on Lilo. She's pretty scrappy.
What if it was Stitch and Hey Hey? Who's going to win that battle?
I think we all know it's Stitch. Hey Hey is an idiot.
September officially marks the beginning of the spooky season, or spoopy season, Patrick, or spoopy season, SZN.
I have no idea where you're going with this, but I am intrigued.
And that means that Freeform's 31 Nights of Halloween is just around the corner.
Uh-oh.
I did that. Beginning on October 1st, the Disney-owned cable channel will begin airing frightfully fun films like Hocus Pocus, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Beetlejuice, The Addams Family, and The Corpse Bride several times a day. As a kickoff to the 31 Nights of Halloween, Freeform has previously held an eerily awesome event promoting the channel's lineup, and this year is no exception, albeit with one big modification due to the pandemic. Halloween Road will be an outdoor immersive experience that attendees will be able to enjoy from behind the steering wheel of their cars. The drive-through experience will include visits to the worlds of Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, Hocus Pocus, and will also include other spooktacular surprises like games, performances, and prizes. Halloween Road will take place October 2nd through the 4th, 2020 at Heritage Square Museum in Los Angeles, California. Tickets will be required to enter the free event and can be obtained by visiting 31nightsofhalloween.com on Saturday, September 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. You can also sign up for an email newsletter for more information. Patrick, with events being canceled left and right, we all know why. This is a little way you can still celebrate Halloween with a fun little drive-through experience.
I like it. I like it. I'm thinking drive-through. No, it's a drive-boo. Am I right?
Oh, they missed an opportunity there. Yes.
For all of you fans of group play, Disney may have some magic in store for you. According to some tech geeks over at DisneyPlusInformer.com, some new code has been added to Disney Plus, which would enable a group watch feature. For those unfamiliar with Group Watch, it's a lot less X-rated than it sounds. This new feature would be a lot like the Netflix Watch Party, where people from multiple locations can sync up a Disney Plus program to start and pause at exactly the same time. So now everyone would be able to watch The Little Mermaid at the same time and simultaneously watch the priest get a little too excited at the wedding.
Remember that?
I do indeed. So there would also be a group chat stream available so everyone can try to be the funniest person in the chat room. The new group watch feature would come with a PIN code to prevent unauthorized users from initiating a session. Also, a child's profile will not have access to initiate a group watch. It's likely the feature will only be a web browser-specific program, meaning it would only be available on a computer. No word on if they plan to have a version of it available on a streaming device like the Apple TV. Also, no word on a launch date or an official title for the feature. A few titles, Adam, I'm kicking around are Distance Party.
Yes.
Group D, right?
Yes.
Or Someone Please Invent a Vaccine so we can stop this nonsense, but in the meantime, let's watch The Princess and the Frog because, let's be honest, that movie is highly underappreciated. End quote.
Seems short.
I think we can abbreviate that, don't you think?
I think so, but what I love, Patrick, is this idea.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's already been invented with the Netflix Watch Party, but I'm glad it's going to come to Disney Plus.
But Netflix doesn't have it installed on Netflix. You have to go through a separate program, right?
That's true. I think it's a Google Chrome extension.
So what would be great about this is that it would actually be installed into Disney Plus. You would just need to watch it through a computer.
Yes. So what it sounds like is it is already in the Disney Plus code, so it exists, but it's just not activated right now. I think they're still trying to get some code worked out.
How much fun would it be to have like GDTD watch parties, and we could send people the code and they would be able to join us in watching a Disney film?
I love this. In true GDTD form, we are going to figure out how we can capitalize off of somebody else's shoulders.
Yeah, that PIN code's going to cost you $50. Hey, Patrick.
Well, hello there, Adam.
Oh, hello. You know, it's been ever so long since we were able to review a movie that was released in the theaters.
It's true. It's very sad.
In fact, the last time we did that was on March 8th, and that was for Onward.
For some reason, it seems like that happened 3 to 4 years ago.
Well, I didn't specify a year, so yes, it actually was 3 to 4 years ago.
That makes sense. That tracks.
And earlier today, I was thinking, you know, there should have been so many movies that we've seen since then. We should have seen Black Widow. We should have seen Soul by now. We should have been able to see Mulan in the theaters. But unfortunately, that was just not the case.
It was not in the cards for us.
But luckily for us, Disney decided to release Mulan on Disney Plus for the enjoyment of all the fans who have been waiting and waiting and waiting to see this movie.
That's right. A strategic and smart move, I would say.
It's the first time that the platform is releasing a film with Premier Access, meaning that there's an upcharge on top of the fee you're already paying for Disney Plus. To be able to view Mulan before December 4th, you have to purchase it for $30 US.
Which does seem like a steep price to sit on your couch and watch a movie, but you should remember that it gives you unlimited access until it's released to everybody in December, so you can watch this movie over and over again. And you can have multiple accounts on Disney Plus too, so you can share this movie with, 6 accounts you can have at the same time?
Yes, it's very shareable, so it works out to be a pretty reasonable deal if you're able to con some friends into giving you a little cash for it.
Cash app your friends, please.
All of that to say, we're delighted to be able to finally, once again, do a movie review. That's right, we are giving our spoiler-free review of Disney's live-action remake of Mulan.
It's been a long time in the making for many, many reasons, but we are very excited to have finally seen Mulan.
And before we dive into this, I just want to remind everyone that way back on episode 81, when we were preparing to see the live-action Mulan in the theaters, right before the pandemic hit, actually, we did a take 2 of the 1998 animated classic Mulan. So if you want to check that out, please do that. But today we're talking live-action Mulan, and this is a retelling of Disney's animated film and a retelling of the legend, right, Patrick?
That's absolutely right. And I want to pause for a second, Adam, if I may. I'd like to just address something before we move forward, that we're, of course, very aware of the protests that are happening right now around this movie and what it means to the people of Hong Kong. And I think it goes without saying that you and I here on Gaze of the D are absolutely standing with human rights and against brutality of any kind, and we are pro-democracy. But that being said, I think it would be unfortunate for the words or comments of some people involved in the movie to stop others from seeing what I believe to be a very beautiful and important movie with a strong feminist message.
Absolutely. This is definitely a movie that's not without controversy, not only regarding the protests currently happening in Hong Kong, the ongoing protests, but also behind the creative team, behind the making of the film. There's a lot of people who are very passionate about not only the animated movie, but how that should be represented and how culturally the legend should be represented. So we're certainly aware of that.
Exactly. So thank you so much for allowing me to pause for a moment. And now we can unpause and go back to the story of Mulan. And as you said, yes, it is a adaptation of the animated version of Mulan from Disney, but also an adaptation of a very, very old story of Hua Mulan.
Yes, as we mentioned in our take 2 of the animated film, the legend can be traced back to the 5th or 6th century to the Wei dynasty. So as I mentioned, this is our spoiler-free review of Mulan, and we certainly want to be sensitive to those of you who have not yet seen the film and those of you who might be waiting till December to watch the film. But the story itself does not deviate so far from the animated classic that we'd be revealing anything that would potentially spoil the movie overall for you, right?
Exactly. We're not going to talk about any surprises that haven't already been seen in previews or that can't easily be found by looking up the live action version of Mulan. So we're more going to talk about our thoughts on the film, right? And the performances and how we felt about the movie overall.
All right, well, let's dive into the production team behind the film, Patrick. It was directed by Nikki Caro.
Absolutely, which makes her the very first woman in any production to helm a movie of this budget and size.
$200 million.
$200 million plus. And she is only the second woman hired by Disney specifically to direct a film by herself, budgeted at over $100 million. So already we've got some history-making, groundbreaking results of this movie.
It was written by two writing teams who kind of came together, or maybe were forced together by Disney. Elizabeth Martin and Lauren Hynek were the first to kind of tackle the story, and then Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver came on board. There aren't that many credits for Elizabeth Martin and Lauren Hynek, at least that I recognized, but Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver wrote the new Planet of the Apes trilogy, and they also worked on Jurassic World.
That's right. I don't know a whole lot about what the process was behind writing this movie. I know that there were a lot of hands on deck to make sure that they told the story as accurately as they could to the culture of China and sticking close to the actual story of Mulan, and of course weaving in the Disney elements as well. So I thought that these two teams did a pretty great job.
The beautiful music was composed by Harry Gregson Williams. Gregson Williams composed the music for Shrek. He composed the music for The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and the music for the film The Martian. And Patrick, really clever takes here on the songs from the animated film, kind of surreptitiously being inserted into the background score for the movie.
For sure. It was really well woven in that if you had never seen the animated movie, it wouldn't have mattered. It's still just beautiful music. But for those of us who are fans of the animated movie, it was a lovely little nod and something to keep us invested and to remember that we are watching a Disney movie, in fact. I'd love to give a shout out to the cinematographer, Mandy Walker. I thought that some of the shots in this film were absolutely beautiful and stunning. Mandy Walker also was a cinematographer for Australia, which is one of my favorite movies, and Hidden Figures. So she really knows her shots, and it showed here in this movie, I thought.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me when I was researching this that she was the cinematographer for Australia. Those kind of wide, sweeping vistas and long shots, and you can really see that same artistry behind the shots in this film.
Absolutely, and the close-up shots were really beautiful as well. The framing of this movie, I thought, was really well done.
Well, speaking of beautiful things to look at, I want to give a shout out to the costume design, which was done by Bina Dagler, who also did the costumes for Voltaire and All About My Mother, a couple of Almodovar films.
And the TV miniseries, Mrs. America, which has really, really fun and beautiful costumes as well. I think overall, the costume design and the art direction in general was really well done here. It had me visually invested right away and all throughout the movie. It really made me wish I was watching it on a bigger screen.
Yes, it's unfortunate that we weren't able to see this in the theaters because it would truly be just a big cinematic event, wouldn't it?
Exactly. And I have to imagine that the sound design was really good as well, but I couldn't hear it very well. I mean, I could hear the sound, obviously, and it sounded great on my television, but I imagine, again, in the movie theater, it would have been a lot more epic.
So a lot of talent on the creative team for this film. As we mentioned earlier, there was some controversy because there just were not enough production members of Asian descent, and a lot of people took issue with that.
Which, fair enough. I can't disagree with that.
Absolutely. Well, let's dive into the story, Patrick, because as we mentioned, the film did not veer so far from the animated film, right?
No, not a whole lot. There were definitely elements that were added to enhance the story, and there were some things that were removed, but I think also to enhance the story and to make it a little bit more accurate to what the original story was about. One element that I think is no surprise is that Mushu is not in this movie, right?
Mushu is missing, yes.
Absolutely, and I did not miss Mushu, I must admit, but the character was, I suppose you could say, replaced by the Phoenix, which you can see in a lot of the previews. A very beautiful Phoenix instead is Mulan's sort of guide throughout the film.
There were also a couple of characters that were added, and one character that was essentially split in two, right? We didn't have a Li Shang in this movie. Instead, we had Commander Tong, played by Donnie Yen, and Chen Honghui, played by Yosin An.
The beautiful Yosin An.
Very good looking, yes.
I was smitten with him immediately.
But again, the choice to kind of eliminate Li Shang, I think, was a very smart one, because now we have Mulan's love interest being her equal rather than her superior.
Yeah, I always thought in the animated version it was kind of awkward to have that almost love interest between her and the commanding officer. It just made a different kind of attention, whereas splitting them into two different characters gave her sort of a mentor and then gave her a love interest or a peer, basically.
It also gave her more contact with him too, right? There wasn't like this distance between two of them as rank would allow, like they were actually on the same level.
Yes, and it allowed us to see him a lot more nude than we may have in the in the animated version. So thank you for that decision. And I have to talk about Donnie Yen for just a second. For those who don't know, his mother was actually a kung fu master, which is how he learned that art. And what he was doing in the film, though it wasn't often, but when he was sort of training the army, it was really beautiful and lovely to watch.
So talented. And I'm sure many of you know that he was actually in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, as Chirrut Imwe.
That's right. Absolutely. He did a wonderful job in that movie as well. Another change that we can talk about is the addition of a character, the witch, basically, whose name was Jian Yang, played by the beautiful and mesmerizing Li Gong.
She truly is fantastic. Yes, Patrick, mesmerizing is the perfect word to describe her.
Yeah, frankly, I could have used a lot more of her in the movie because the performance she gave was so... I guess it could have been very exaggerated and it could have been a little bit crazier, but the stillness in which she played the witch character was so haunting and believable. I was captivated by her.
Those of us in the States will know Li Gong's work from Memoirs of a Geisha and the Miami Vice film, but that is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to her career.
That's absolutely true. We should mention most of these actors are very prolific performers in mostly China and actually a lot in New Zealand as well. We just aren't familiar with their work because we haven't been exposed to it or haven't exposed ourselves to the work, I suppose we could say even better. So I sometimes don't know what credits to give them because I'm not sure what those movies were about or what role they played in those movies, frankly. Nevertheless, they all did, for my money, a wonderful job in this movie. So I have to believe that they are very talented in movies from their home countries.
And the last kind of addition to the story that we know from the Disney animated film, was the addition of Mulan's sister, Hua Shu.
Yes, which interestingly, so as you know, Mulan didn't have any siblings in the animated version, the Disney animated version, and in the story, she has a little brother. So for this movie, they changed it completely and gave her a younger sister, which I thought was pretty effective.
And I thought Shu was a nice kind of juxtaposition to Mulan's character. Shu was a little bit more demure, quiet, kind of fitting into more of those traditional roles in the film, whereas Mulan was more kind of headstrong and rebellious.
Yeah, I thought it played well into the overall theme that I pulled out of it, which is feminism, right? In that you have these two sisters taking two very different paths, but taking them willingly and doing what they want to do.
So that kind of covers the new characters who were inserted into the film. So now, Patrick, of course, we have to talk about Mulan herself, yes?
Yes, please.
And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this, but Mulan is portrayed in the film by Yifei Liu.
That's how I understand how to pronounce her name. At least that's what it sounds like she pronounces her name as. I'm sure there's a Tweedledee out there who will very graciously correct us if we get, I'll say when we get a lot of these pronunciations wrong, and we are happy to learn. But yes, Yifei Liu.
How did you feel about her performance, Patrick?
So here's what I'll say. It's very clear that she is new to cinema and into acting. She's not an established actor right now. That being said, I thought she was a delight to watch. I thought that she played a lot of levels and a lot of nuance that were true to the animated version of Mulan, and she added a lot of her own elements as well. That's just my opinion. I don't think that she did an Academy Award-worthy job, but I thought that she did a great job.
I agree. It is a tough spot to be in because you are playing a role that is so beloved by so many Disney fans, right? But you also need to be so grounded in this film, which deals with heavy-hitting issues like war. So there's really kind of the span that she needed to hit, and she did really hit a lot of the kind of emotional points along that way, right?
Right, exactly. And let's not forget, her physical performance was outstanding. And she did, I believe, if not all of them, most of her own stunts in the movie.
Just incredible.
Oh, for sure. For a newcomer, it was absolutely amazing. And there's a fun story that when she auditioned, she had flown basically across the world and was going on 2 hours of sleep and came in and auditioned. And the process took all day, if not more than one day. And she just knocked it out of the park for the directors and the production team.
You can actually watch some of her audition tape on the YouTube.
Oh, there you go.
As with the animated film, Mulan's devotion to her family is very strong. And the connection to her family is even more fleshed out in the live-action remake. We kind of get more of a backstory about her connection with her dad and her relationship within her family structure. Her dad is portrayed by Tai Ma, and her mother is portrayed by Rosalind Chow.
That's right, the Hua family.
Mulan's connection to her father is so strong in this movie.
Yes, and I think thanks in large part to Tai Ma's performance. He really gave a pained performance, if you know what I mean. Like, of course, he's injured from the previous war, as was the case in the original movie, but his devotion to Mulan, they had a very strong connection, and you could just see it in his eyes when he watched her doing her thing. Basically, he had a turmoil between being very proud of her, but also knowing that the family could very easily be dishonored by her for a plethora of reasons, historical reasons. But it was very apparent due to his performance, I thought. And some of our Tweedledees may recognize him as the dragon in a few episodes of Once Upon a Time, the TV series.
He also appeared in the film Arrival. He's been in the TV show Veep. And he voiced the character of Baba on one of my favorite animated sitcoms, American Dad.
Well, there you go. And of course, we have the delightful Rosalind Chow, who I could watch in anything. And Tweedledees, if you have a television, you have seen her in some television show here or there. She's appeared in almost everything at some point, including Blackish, Code Black, This Is Us, Hawaii Five-0, Castle, Shameless, and honestly thousands and thousands of other episodes of television. But I remember her very fondly as Rose in the Joy Luck Club.
Yes, Rose. She was also in Star Trek The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, she's been in everything, absolutely everything. And I really enjoyed the juxtaposition between the two parents, where Hua Li was actually a little bit more of the disciplinarian and the traditionalist versus Mulan's father, Hua Zhu.
The Emperor of China was portrayed by Jet Li. Everyone knows Jet Li, don't they? Everyone does.
Well, I mean, if you're a fan of martial arts movies, then yes, you would be knowledgeable about who Jet Li is, the legendary Jet Li.
He's appeared in the Expendables franchise, Lethal Weapon 4. He's appeared in The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and just a plethora of martial arts films.
Absolutely. You could argue that he is actually responsible for starting sort of the kung fu movie craze that happened in the 1980s. He's trained in wushu, which is China's national sport, which is sort of a performance version of various martial arts styles. And it shows. He is remarkable. Without giving away anything, I actually really enjoyed Jet Li's performance when it came to... He played a very still performance, probably very traditional to what the Emperor would have behaved like at this time. But then there are moments in the movie where he gets to be Jet Li for just a second, and it was phenomenal. It was everything you want when Jet Li's on screen.
More of a reserved performance, but yes, he does have full Jet Li moments.
Absolutely, absolutely. I believe he was playing homage to a lot of those old 80s kung fu martial arts movies, which I appreciated.
And the big bad of the movie, the villain, as portrayed by Jason Scott Lee, is Bori Khan, a Roran warrior. So a bit of a departure from what we saw in the animated film, but equally as menacing.
Yes, basically the same character, just with a different name. And those muscles, I'll tell you what.
It was really fun to watch Jason Scott Lee fully embrace a villain. I had only ever seen him before in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story in which he portrayed his father, Bruce Lee. So it was fun to watch him kind of really dig his claws into being a bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he did a great job. Disney fans may remember him as Mowgli in the 1994 adaptation of The Jungle Book. And, fun fact, he also voiced the very deliciously animated David in Lilo and Stitch. And as you said, Adam, he is leading the Roran army this time instead of the Huns, because the Rorans were actually more historically accurate for when this movie takes place.
It was very Game of Thrones for me in that regard, the way the kind of Roaran army was put together, assembled from different factions, and it was giving me Khal Drogo vibes.
Ooh, I like it. I am all about those vibes, I'll tell you what.
And as with the animated film, we have the various soldiers that Mulan is serving with, including Junyu as Cricket.
That's right, sort of a newcomer as an actor, but also a new character in the movie as well. And I thought a very well-placed character. Without giving away too much, this character sort of gives us an interesting, in my opinion, look at what masculine and feminine means based on man and woman. And it played very well in my mind.
Yeah, this character was needed because it gave that kind of softer version of what it means to be a man.
Yes, the character sort of showed that you can be a sensitive man and still kick some ass, right?
I do it every day, Patrick.
Fair. That's fair enough.
So that kind of rounds out the prominent characters in the film. Patrick, let's talk now about kind of our overall thoughts and opinions about the movie.
Let's do just that.
I really enjoyed the movie. I've had a chance to watch it twice, and I found it incredibly entertaining, but it left me with a lot of questions about the direction they took with certain elements of the film.
Okay. For example?
Well, the biggest question I have, and it's something we've kind of already alluded to, Patrick, with, this kind of feminist retelling of the story, but Mulan has powers in this retelling of the legend. And so that kind of confused the messaging for me behind the film.
Fair enough. I don't know if I would call them powers necessarily, as she was harnessing chi, basically, right? She was adept at harnessing this inner strength in her that others may not have tapped into quite as strongly.
The Force.
Sure.
I guess that bothered me. I didn't want a mystical element tied to her. I wanted her to be more relying on her own strength and not to have this kind of magic behind it.
I think that's where you and I differ. I didn't necessarily associate her with having magic. In my understanding, chi is more of a mental practice. And so she was just very adept at using that. That's what I pulled from it, because she wasn't like casting spells or anything. She was just very good at martial arts.
I totally get that. I just think that's a very remarkable thing about her. And I was hoping that going into this movie, watching it, that she would start off the film being relatively unremarkable, just like everyone else, right? And that she would find her strength in joining the army and learning that she could do it herself and wouldn't have this kind of special power that she could tap into.
That totally makes sense to me. I, on the other hand, just as a different take, I kind of enjoyed the fact that she had this sort of heightened focus to her, but was told not to use it, and that sort of stifled her. Kind of parallel to Elsa, right? In that she always had this within her, but she was told not to use it. Otherwise, that would disappoint her family and ruin her reputation. Whereas the more she realized who she was, the stronger she became. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would just rather have it be that she was really good at martial arts and told not to use that, as opposed to this kind of energy or power that she has.
Okay, fair enough.
But that's a large part of the movie, and I recognize that too, is that there's this line of stark reality, almost brutal reality at times, dealing with the war, and then there's also this magical fantasy side to the movie too.
Yeah, which is kind of true to martial arts and kung fu movies, where it's a heightened reality.
There's like the harsh reality of war, and then these kind of magical or mystical elements, these fantasy elements. Do you think that kind of combination works in this film, to have both of those sides of the story playing simultaneously?
Yeah, I thought it worked great. I think that this is a movie that uses many different styles of telling stories and weaves them all together. So I didn't think that one needed to happen without the other.
Let's talk about the witch.
Okay.
As we mentioned, this was a new character that was added, portrayed wonderfully by Li Gong. I was kind of bothered by her addition in the film.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
To me, it felt like a very convenient way to kind of add in more magical elements to the story.
Okay.
Again, I liked the character, and I thought the portrayal was great. It just didn't seem to work fully for me in the story. She felt at times very underused, and then she felt at times kind of like a prop, which I get, but the arc her character made, it just didn't really work fully for me.
Fair enough. I actually really appreciated the character. I thought she added some necessary balance to Mulan's character. specifically when we're talking about sort of the feminist storyline that is being teased out here, and also an overall theme of sort of having a seat at the table, in that these two very powerful women could have done very different things had they a seat at the table earlier on. And so that's what I pulled from that. I do, however, wish that they had fleshed her out a little bit more. I think we could have used more. And the movie was actually quite short, in my opinion. And that's just because it's a Disney movie, right? They can't have it go too long. But because of that, a lot of storylines were cut a little bit short and left wanting more for me.
I guess I would have preferred a more grounded approach to these women's abilities and kind of, their strength coming from a place, more so with the witch, I guess, but their strength coming from a place that was not so supernatural.
Fair enough. I feel like overall you would have rather this movie had been more realistic rather than heightened.
Yeah.
I just think that it was used as sort of a metaphor instead, which I appreciated, because then it also brought in a different way of telling stories, and also using sort of Chinese storytelling as well, where there is mysticism and there is heightened realities happening in a lot of these stories.
Yeah, I guess I was expecting more of like a realistic telling as opposed to these more supernatural elements coming into the story.
That's fair. I actually enjoyed the fantasy of it.
Which I also understand too. Like, I understand there's a want or a desire for that, but it felt almost at times like Star Wars or even more like Marvel as opposed to a more grounded version of the legend.
Gotcha. I did not pull that out of it. I thought it was actually, in my opinion, a lot more subtle than it could have been. Disney does tend to be pretty heavy-handed when it goes in one direction, and I thought that they were quite restrained and used restraint, I guess, in the mysticism of it all. I thought that there was room for them to have done and gone so much further with it, and I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad that they kept it a little bit more inward, I suppose.
Even with the Phoenix?
I pulled that the Phoenix was something Mulan was seeing, because the Phoenix never really touched anyone or did any fighting. It was just a guide, which is sort of what the purpose of that character is intended to do, is guide her.
I totally agree with that. I believe it was a guide that only Mulan saw. It just was like really kind of there.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we did literally see it. I don't know. I thought it was beautiful.
I would have preferred more metaphor when it came to the Phoenix as opposed to a literal Phoenix. Like, I thought, wouldn't it have been cool when you see those shots where Mulan is riding with the army, and as opposed to seeing a literal phoenix, you see kind of a representation of a phoenix in the clouds, or it was more of like a hint of the power behind that creature as opposed to a literal creature in the film.
Okay, fair enough.
What did you like most about this adaptation of the story?
I think I appreciated, as I said before, the many different ways of telling stories that they wove into one movie. It wasn't just visually appealing way of telling the story. It wasn't just a war story. It wasn't just a feminist story. It was all of these things combined into one with a very Disney spin on it. I had to keep reminding myself that this is a Disney movie. It could have very quickly gone a lot more violent and a lot more realistic, which I appreciated they didn't do, it being a Disney movie. For instance, you never saw any blood in the movie, which I thought was handled very well. And it didn't go too far in any of the directions for me. It used a nice balance, which I think is sort of the message of the story, is balance, right?
Yeah, it's true. For a movie dealing with war, where you do see large battles, you're not walking away from it feeling grossed out by gore or seeing things that are too graphic. Like, it is handled in a very kind of responsible way, as we would expect from Disney.
Yeah, for sure. That being said, fun fact, this is the first Disney live-action remake to get a PG-13 rating. So it didn't shy away from violence, but it didn't get too heavy-handed in the violence.
And naked torsos.
And some delightful menses. What about you? Did you have a favorite or an overall feeling of the movie?
Yeah, I really appreciated the more subtle elements of the film, particularly when Mulan is in the camp and in training. I felt like those moments were handled very delicately, and I think you got a real sense for the struggle she was experiencing. You know, I keep thinking about wrapping her torso to kind of bind her breasts, and that's something that we didn't really think about watching the animated film, but actually changing her physical appearance and dealing with the pain and the kind of fallout from that on a daily basis. Like, I just didn't think about those kind of things watching the animated film, and this kind of really highlighted that aspect, that transformation that she had to go through, and the toll it took on her.
Yeah, it leaned into a little bit more of a realistic view of what it would have taken for her to hide herself, I guess, amongst all these men. Certainly, it could have gone a little bit further, and I'm glad that it didn't. Of course, again, we're talking about time constraints, and they could have gone in 8,000 different directions with it, but they gave us a nice look at that daily life for her within the camp.
We talked about this a bit, but I also really appreciated the incorporation of the songs from the original animated film. I was not in the camp that there should be songs in this movie ever. Like when I saw the trailer, I was actually excited about the fact that this wasn't a musical, nor could it be really. I mean, when you look at it now, you're like, it would be kind of ridiculous to have these warriors break out into song. But I thought the composer did an excellent job weaving in particularly reflection into the score. And it's a really powerful, powerful moment when you hear for the first time in the film reflection in the background, right? It does kind of create that connection between your feelings and attachments to the animated film, and then also the journey that Mulan is in and the kind of power that she's come into in this live action version.
For sure. I also really enjoyed how they incorporated some Chinese cinema into this, specifically, very specifically, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Kiss of the Dragon, a lot of those beautiful and yet action-packed martial arts movies. I actually really liked that aspect of this movie. I'm glad that they stayed true to some Chinese cinema and didn't just make it a Disney movie overall.
I thought those moments were really beautiful too. I just think I would have preferred more of that from everyone as opposed to just Mulan.
We very much differ on this. I feel like we're going to go back and forth on that a lot.
Yeah, I think so. Or, just kind of pulling it back down to a little bit more of a realistic approach to the battle scenes. But I appreciate the beauty behind it and the artistry it takes to create those beautiful moments of really choreography.
So other than the sort of fantasy elements, was there anything in the movie that was a little bit of a miss for you?
No, I actually really enjoyed it, and I had a fantastic time watching it. I thought it was a very successful live action adaptation of a Disney film. In fact, definitely one of the more successful adaptations. The performances were so strong, and the look of the film is so rich, and it is such a moving, compelling story. So for me, I thought it was a very successful adaptation. Were there any elements that kind of fell flat for you?
I don't know that anything necessarily fell flat for me. I think I wanted a little bit more time with the movie. I wish it was a little bit longer. I would have been okay with it being longer. So some of those storylines could be fleshed out a little bit. Sometimes some things happen so rapidly that we didn't get a chance to catch up to it or understand why it was happening fully. We just sort of had to make those gaps happen in our minds, which is fine. Like I said, it's a Disney movie. They have a very limited amount of time to tell the story. So I would have been okay if this were more of an extended, like 2.5 hours would have done the trick, or 2 hours and 45 minutes. I know that gets into sort of like epic territory, but I could have used it, frankly. I wouldn't have minded it.
I totally agree. It's an epic story, right? And so I think there's that desire, especially when things are looking as great as they do in this movie, to extend that viewing experience. And I wonder if Disney had known that this was going to be for home release as opposed to theatrical release, if they would have been like, yeah, go ahead, let's take some more time with it when people are able to like pause or, get up and take a break or whatever they need to do. But yeah, I think extending that time and giving the audience more of this kind of lush experience would have been great.
I'm interested how this movie would have been handled in anyone's hands other than Disney's, if it would have gotten a lot more violent or if it would have gotten a lot more mystical. And the reason I say that is because I love that Disney handled a nice balance between everything.
Yes, it would have been interesting to see another studio's take on this story.
Exactly. So it sounds like we both enjoyed the film. It sounds like we had some pretty differing opinions of the film. We can fight later using martial arts and mystic elements, but we both had a good time with Mulan, right?
Absolutely. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on Disney's live-action adaptation of Mulan. You can reach out to us on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast.
Or please leave us a voice memo or email at info@gazedothed.com.
I'm very excited to hear what our Tweedles think of this movie, Patrick.
Yes, I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit of a polarizing movie.
Yes, send us that feedback. Let us know your thoughts.
Tell us all about it. Let us know what worked for you. Let us know what didn't work for you. Let us know what compliments you have for Adam and Patrick. Whatever you need to say to us, let us know.
Now, see, again, Patrick, the request for compliments, that's just getting too much into the fantasy realm for me.
Uh-oh. Hey-oh. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Patrick.
It is time for some quick D, my friend.
It's time. It's that time of the episode when we D, but very quickly.
That's right. Be quick about it, please, because I am hungry, Adam. I am very hungry.
I shall be the quickest I ever quicked.
Fantastic. For those of you who don't know what Quick D is, shame on your family. You've brought dishonor on your whole village. But Quick D is where Adam and I ask each other a question that we have not been privy to prior to recording and try to answer off the cuff. It might be funny. It might be sad. It might make you angry. But one thing's for sure, it will be quick.
Quick and painless, hopefully.
Well, painful is often something that people describe Quick D as, so who can say? Who can say what will happen today?
That's true. This could be very, very painful.
And some may be hoping for that. Adam, some may be hoping for that. Adam, I do have a question for you. Are you ready for a Quick D question?
I certainly am.
Fantastic. You have no other choice, so I'm glad you answered that way. So, Adam, Disney and Gaze to the D are partnering on some new face masks, some new designs. Can you please reveal to the Tweedledees at home some of the ideas that we've been tossing around?
You know, we've been dreaming of a partnership with Disney, specifically a face mask partnership, for quite some time. Even pre-pandemic, for some reason, we were really into face masks. We thought they were going to be cosmetic face masks, but you know what? If anyone can pivot, it's us and it's Disney. And so here we are, pandemics, face masks. First up, we're going to be releasing a face mask of the month until this thing is over. It's kind of like an advent calendar, but it's for face masks. In fact, it is an advent calendar. What am I saying? You are going to be receiving an advent calendar, and on any given month, you open up that little door and another face mask pops out, and it is themed to the month. So September, here we are, back to school face mask.
Interesting. What's on the back to school face mask?
Oh, I'm so happy you asked because I know exactly what's on the back to school face mask, Patrick. It is a pattern of apples and rulers for slapping wrists.
Oh, I like that. Nutritious and corporal punishment. Enjoyable.
Super corporally, yeah?
The corporalist.
October will be pumpkins and rulers for slapping wrists.
Interesting. More rulers. Okay, I sense a theme.
November will be turkeys, rulers.
Again, slap that wrist.
December will be snow and mistletoe.
A twist.
And January will be rulers.
Back to rulers. Got it.
Back to rulers for January. What other kind of masks can we have, Patrick? I'll answer my own question. We're going to be releasing a series of masks that are themed to terrible Disney guests.
Ooh, I like this idea. Flesh this out for me.
They'll really be cautionary tales. When you wear these masks, you'll be reminding guests, don't go too far. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, people who have gotten into altercations in the parks, we're going to be recognizing the man who slept on Discovery Island, that hobo or whoever he was. People who have tried to bring marijuana into the parks.
Which is everybody.
We're going to be highlighting those that have pretended to be cast members when they're actually not cast members.
Shameful. You know who you are.
And a mask that calls attention to those that have brought the ashes of their loved ones into the parks to dispose of in the Haunted Mansion.
Disgusting and terrifying.
So to sum up, masks based on the months and rulers, and masks based on terrible Disney guests.
I'm interested in that Karen line that you've come up with.
That's perfect, Patrick. The Karen collection.
I like that.
All right, Patrick, here is my question for you. Goals for year 3?
What a short question.
It's Quick D after all. No, but seriously, Patrick, what are your goals for year 3?
I have many goals. Many goals, Adam. I will limit it to 3 goals. One goal is to interview Mickey Mouse himself, Adam. And I don't mean Brett Iwan. I just mean the costumed character Mickey Mouse. So it's just us asking questions to a mute character. I think that would be captivating podcasting, don't you think?
I think it's an easy get. I think that is one that we could easily pull off without anyone knowing, Patrick.
Yeah, I think let's try it right now. Mickey, how are you today? Fascinating. I did not know you were that angry about what Adam said to you, but thank you for sharing. It's just that easy, Adam. It's just that easy.
I'm so sorry, Mickey. I truly did not mean it.
He did mean it. He did mean it. What is goal number 2, Adam? I would like to package a scent that goes with each episode and ship it to our Tweedledees so they have a themed scent for every episode.
Our scents?
It could be the scent of my left shoe. It could be the scent of that I imagine to be very stinky closet that you're sitting in right now.
How dare you? There are potpourri sachets all over this joint.
That to me equals stinky, or it could be the scent of a turkey leg. Who can say, depending on the episode.
Oddly, there are also a number of turkey legs in my closet right now.
Not odd at all. I think today's episode would be themed the scent of Phoenix manure.
Now, see, that could go one of two ways. Is it great smelling or is it terrible smelling?
It smells like cotton candy and pickles.
I'm in.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Goal number 3, Adam. I mean, do we need any more goals? Those two are highly, highly unattainable as it is. But here goes goal number 3. I would like Ruth Bader Ginsburg to be a guest on our show.
Disney mega fan Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Known Disney mega fan, Big Thunder enthusiast, RBG. In fact, that's what they call her on the court. Big Thunder Ginsburg.
Not only as a nickname, but it actually appears in legal briefs as well. Who is presiding over that day's proceedings, and it is Big Thunder RBG.
That's right. Big Thunder also appears in my legal briefs, if you know what I mean.
Now, this has taken an interesting turn. May I ask you, going back to the very beginning of this episode, you mentioned holding hands with a girl in elementary school.
And that woman was Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I knew it. I should have said it at the time. I knew it all along.
Yep, she and I have had a long-lasting love affair. She is the big to my thunder, the mountain to my railroad.
It sounds like she's a top.
Just like Big Thunder Mountain, both of us like it in the front and we like it in the back. You know what I mean?
You've spelled it out very clearly.
I thought I was being subtle, but maybe that's goal number 4 for year 3. It's subtlety.
That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast, and submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.
I burped. Throat coat.
Count that out. Patrick, as the good book says, Disney Plus give it...
I'm sorry, what?
Disney Plus. Disney Plus.
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
I know, I'm so excited for it.
You're stupid.
Patrick, we're test recording.
Well, why? I don't need to test.
Test it out.
Is this my screen test?
This is... Come over on this couch for a second.
Oh, let me put my clothes on first. Should there be a we in front of we cover the latest Disney news?
And I'll say, and we interview.
There you go.
It's just because it's too long for listing things.
Exactly. Other than those terrible mistakes, it was wonderful. When I am back at home across the pond, your pod keeps the ring... When I am back at home across the pond, your pod keeps the ring... Mother... Plucker. As we all know, Disney is a leader in corporate giving and community outreach, and I have got not one, but two small stories that is it. This is the first time the archives have created a companion book for their key expo exhibition. I'm going to say that again. This is the first time the archives have created a companion book for their key expo expedition. Expedition? Ugh. Poop. Top of the morning to you.
And now we're back to the UK.
Nope, that would be Ireland.
United Kingdom.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
We're real good at maps, such as maps.
Yeah.
Remember that? The Miss America.
I'm thinking of Scotland, not Ireland.
Remember that? The Miss America answer? The world.
Oh, yes.
Things such as maps.
And the Iraq. Everything had the or the in front of it.
Where do you think she is now?
Yeah. Hosting a podcast, probably.
She's probably topless on a couch somewhere.
So hosting a podcast.
Just like me.
Just like you.
Good for her. Good for her.
Hi, gang. It's Adam.
And Patrick.
We're currently in Disneyland, so that can only mean one thing. It's time to play Walt Quizney.
Pew, 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 pew.
Sorry. Hi, gang. It's Adam.
And Patrick.
We're currently in Disneyland, so that can only mean one thing. It's time for a Walt Quizney episode in which Patrick and I battle it out over Disney Villains.
Villains and villains.
Hi, gang. It's Adam. I guess I didn't need to go back, did I?
No, it's fine.
Hi, gang. It's Adam.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode.
Oh.
I hit the box.
That would be the first time you hit anyone's box. But okay. Everyone shut the
up. What's his name? Bob Chapek. Bob Chep.
Bop chap. Are you an Ewok? Bop, chop, bop, bop.
Yup, yup.
And click that donate button at the top toolbar of the webpage. I'm speaking gibberish right now. Cool Runnings.
I've never seen.
You haven't seen Cool Runnings?
No.
I am ashamed of you.
That's the Jamaican bobsled movie, right?
Say that again.
I know. I said Jamaican.
Mm-hmm. I could use some Jamaican right now. I'm hungry.
That's the Jamaican.
Oh my God.
I did it again.
Do you need
it's like I have a cold.
Do you want me to do you need some food?
No.
Okay.
I'm like on the verge of a burp this whole episode.
I can tell.
I'm like the Timon and Pumbaa TV. The Timon. Pumbaa.
Oh, Pumbaa. Pumbaa, please.
You're going to be speaking so much coming up.
It's true. You're welcome, audience. So happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Or when the investigation will conclude on to what actually. Or when the event. Oh, Ooh.
Keep that. We'll think about it later.
It later. We'll it later.
Later. I'll tomorrow. What's the quote from?
From what?
From Gone with the Wind. I'll worry about that another day.
Oh, tomorrow is another day.
What? That's not the quote.
Isn't it?
No, she's always like, oh, I'll worry about that tomorrow or something.
The big quote from Gone with the Wind?
Yeah.
I think it's tomorrow is another day.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Let's look it up. Tomorrow is another day?
Yeah.
No, you're thinking about Epcot or It's Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow.
No, she says something like that.
I'll worry about that tomorrow.
Are you talking about the very end of the movie, like the last line?
No, like it's something she says throughout the movie.
Oh, I'm thinking of like
because it's part of her personality. Like I don't have time to worry about
fiddle-dee-dee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Last week, WDW. I gotta say W better. W.
Yeah. What the Disney heard about their need and immediately donated 600 blankets, sheets, and towels from their Vero Beach resort. Me. Oh, you know what? I need tea as well. Sorry.
It wasn't on your rider.
Oh, are we testing right now?
We're testing.
Oh, sorry.
You're failing. You're failing this test.
I can't even get through a test. This is going to be a wonderful episode. Good luck, everyone. Tweedledees at home. It's been 1 full hour while we watched Penny the dog piss all over the floor and get a treat for it.
She has a pee pad. Keep it classy. All right.
And as the kids say these days, you can always email us or leave us a voice memo at info. I got choked on my hubris.
So for any new listeners out there, our
Adam's drunk.
Hi, gang. Nope.
Oh, I just learned you were actually gay for the first time ever. Hi, gang. Hey, gang. Hi. Whoa, we just hit a weird note
We
there.
sure did. We sure did. Your dogs upstairs are like pissing themselves right now.
I think they just died.
Okay. Yeah. Plus, can you imagine listening to all those old nudes?
Keep that in the...
I'm Bob Chapek. I'm at Disney.
This is a great joke so far. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D. Yeah. Hi, gang. It's Patrick.
And Deborah.
You're a face. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
Fart.
Eat that. Fun fact, the paintbrushes are actually back now on Tom Sawyer Island, but you don't get anything beyond a certificate if you find one.
No one's going to touch those taint, Brett.
Not.
As I sit here recording this podcast with my dog on my lap licking her vagina, I just want you to know that reflection... Sorry, I'll start again. Matthew's peeing. Can you hear that?
I can hear it. I can't help it if I have a heavy flow and a wide-set vagina.
Well, Patrick, we also need to extend a thanks to everyone who has submitted ratings and reviews on Apple Podcast recently.
What? You like powered down at the end of that sentence.
I know. I was going to wait for... I was going to see if you had anything to... Patrick, with the... Nope. Patrick, as we mentioned... Patrick.
What the do you want? From the social media platform led by civil rights groups. The boy cat... The boy cat? What about the girl cat?
What about her?
Oh, dear. Okay.